Alright, alright. Stop this, stop this. This is what it's time for. Yes. Yes. Are the children ready to meet the master? Are you ready for Blink? 'Cause I am. Well, not yet. Just, you know, just give me 5 minutes. Be right back. But let's just put this on repeat. Hold on. Ah, there it is. It was saved. There it is. Oh, yeah. Alright, be right back. Music to my ears. Yes. Yes. Nah, Blink's not upset about this. I like pre-approved it too. I was like, yo man, is it okay if we use this? Alright, hold on, I'm gonna call this guy. I'm gonna start it in just right now actually. Alright, shut this, shut this. We'll play it again at the end when we're doing questions. Right, Blink? Damn, what's going on? Am I on streamer mode? I can't hear anything right now. Hold on, Blink. Can you hear me? One sec. I'm gonna reopen Discord. Let's see. Cancel that. Cancel this. I can't hear him, but I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, so it's me. Alright, disable streamer mode.
Hey, can you hear me?
Alright, there we go. Yeah, I just had to disable streamer mode.
I never pre-approved this and I hate you.
You totally pre-approved this, man.
The podcast is canceled.
Hey, what are you talking about? The podcast just began.
Uh-oh. Crap. Hey guys. Hello. Hello children.
Yes, hello.
Blink.
Yeah. Blink, you already saw me flub your introduction when we practiced this. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Blink, owner of Hard Trump. and avid Tetris fan, just like you guys. You guys already know who I am, so oh, there can't hear Blink at all, says OPM.
I already put your volume up.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
You guys hear me?
Should be good
Yeah.
now.
So, yeah, this is Blink from Hard Drop, the owner of Hard Drop, and you guys already know who I am, so we're good. We can continue.
All right.
I don't like to talk too much about myself,
Yeah,
which
all
makes
right.
this
Let's
really
just go
weird.
down the topic list then.
Okay.
All right.
Wait, I just want to say, you better feel special because I'm really nervous and I never do these type of things.
That's cool, man. Remember, it's just a conversation, right? Everybody loves you. Everybody on stream loves you.
Do they? Do you guys?
Of
I
course
don't
they
know
do,
sometimes.
man. Of course they do. That's why they're
All
all
right.
piling in, you know? Like, they're
Are they?
waiting to hear what you have to say about
How many-
Tetrinet 1 and 2.
The word of Blink. They're waiting to
Yes.
hear my gospel.
Yeah. So I guess, like, let's start off with Tetrinet 1 and 2, because that's where you started playing Tetris, right?
Right, it is. Tetrinet 1 and 2 were my first Tetris games. They're the ones that started it all for me. They're the ones that got me hooked into playing Tetris. So, not actually sure if I should be thankful for that or hate those games, because ever since Tetris just has taken up so much of my life. It's
Yeah.
been a large role in my life. But
Yeah.
I did enjoy my time there. So
Yeah.
what can I say about Tetrinet? So Tetrinet was a multiplayer Tetris game. I think the first release was in 1998, and it was created by Stormcat. So it was just made by just one person.
Okay.
And
And
so
Tetrinet 2 presumably was by the same guy as well.
same guy, Stormcat, and I think Tetrinet 2 came out in like 0102 around that
Yeah,
that area.
0102. I think it was 02 actually, but I'm not too sure. I wasn't part of that era.
Yeah, and even I was only like 14, 15 years old back
Yeah.
when Tetrinet 1 was out.
Mhm.
But I can remember just all the it was a highly competitive game. It's not like the scene was pretty different back then. It's not like how it is now where you have
Was everybody competitive, or just everybody just kind of just communed there? You know, like if you liked Tetris and wanted to have a little challenge, you go here.
I think it was both. I
Both?
think not only was it a very good place to socialize because there was chat rooms and things like that, but
Mhm.
it was highly competitive because teams were huge back then. It was all about teams and team pride.
Right. I remember that because I remember Arf tried to get like teams going, coming back when we had like those HDOs.
Right, for Blockbox and things like that. But
Yeah.
we can never replicate the same
Mhm.
type of competition that we had back then.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it wasn't like just a handful of players like it is now, like a handful of players who are really good and everyone else is pretty far behind.
Mhm.
Back then we had like a huge pool of players who were like similar skill level.
Yeah.
So I think there was like 20 different teams back then that were similar. Like every team had their best player
Yeah.
who was like their ace,
Mhm.
but all the teams could compete with each other on almost an even level. But of course, there's just a couple of teams that stood out.
Yeah.
Like
Did,
try to think of
so like did some of the old teams come back? Like I know Stars and Legion of Doom, like were those from back in the day too?
no, those
Those
Stars and Legion of Doom were made after Hard Drop was created.
Okay. All right.
It was during our push of trying to start up teams.
Mhm.
But those were not the old school teams. The old school teams that I remember, probably the most popular was Hellfire
Mhm.
with their leader was Spin Dizzy, and that's one of the people that I used to look up to back then, just
Okay.
because he was a teacher of the game and he was really skilled. He wasn't very fast, but he always was helpful and always wanted others to improve.
Mhm.
So that's one of the people I looked up to when I was beginning.
Like, I remember when it was like the block box era. I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but during the
Oh, no
block
worries.
box era, that was like when I was first coming into Tetris competitively, and one name that kept get pushed around and stuff, or not pushed around, but you know, like it kept getting circulated was Jujubes, because it seemed like you were someone who looked up to him because he was a very well-rounded player, and we didn't have a whole lot of that back then.
Right. He was well-rounded, and he was just one of the nicest people you could ever talk to in Tetris.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he was a good role model when it came to just personality-wise. If we're
Mm-hmm.
not even talking about Tetris,
Yeah.
he was also yeah. He was the person who introduced me to Tetris concept, the original Tetris concept,
Mm-hmm.
because I actually ran into him on TOJ, and I was trying to learn T-spins, and he took time out of his day to teach me how to T-spin, even though he didn't know who I was. So
Mm.
just people like that. And I hope that the community still has people like that to look up to.
Right. Yeah. So,
But yeah,
would you say like your role models are the people that you look up to because and that kind of like molded your style? Because like you've been in the game for a while now. You went from Tetrinet 1 to 2,
mhm.
and uh, then presumably you moved on to Guideline. And I
So
guess
I
you would
think
have had to change your style there for that, right?
right for sure. When I first started Guideline, I absolutely hated T spins. I didn't know how to do them. I thought
Right.
they they did not belong in the game.
That's
And
funny
then
because I remember Caffeine saying that you were the one who popularized them.
I might have popularized them, but I'll tell you straight up, when I first got on Gaiden, I was like, what the heck is this? Why is this in the game? Why is the field only 10 wide?
Yeah.
How come you get one piece every 7 pieces? Because when I came from Tetrinet, Tetrinet was a game that had random piece spawns, random
Hmm.
piece orientations.
Yeah.
eh,
So you just had to
Um,
like it was very much like Culturist and Cultures 2. You had to like make do with the pieces you had, right?
right, right. It
Just had
was
to
like
make
that.
it work somehow.
Except it wasn't so much speed based as Coaches and Coaches 2 was, because Coaches and Coaches 2, the optimal strategy isn't like doing Tetrises, it's
Hmm.
doing combos, right?
Right, right.
But there were no combos in Tetrinet. So it
Hmm.
was more about down stacking, especially since it's a 12
Right.
wide field.
Hmm.
Efficient down stacking is a lot more important than speed is, because with speed, since it's 12 wide, it still requires more pieces just to get downwards. But if you have proper efficient down stacking,
Hmm.
it can make up for that more
Yeah.
so than it can
Was
now.
the 12 wide only for Tetranet? Cuz with Guideline is it 10 wide or is it still 12 wide?
No, no, guy,
Guideline is
Phil,
12?
Phil, you know how? No, guideline is 10 wide. You've
10
been playing
wide.
guideline for how long,
Yo,
man?
man, it's not like I count that stuff.
Yeah, guideline is 10 wide. Every guideline game is 10 wide, as far as I know. And
Okay.
Tetranet was 12 wide. And I think I heard about some other clone being 12 wide, but I don't know what it is.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I
Tetranet
might
1
have
and
heard
2
of
were,
that too. I don't know which one it is. It might have been like one of those obscure ones.
yeah, it was definitely a clone. It wasn't an official game.
Hmm.
But yep.
All right. I mean, I guess that's a good moving on point to like who the top players were back then. Because you already
Okay.
like talked about Tetranet and like how everybody was kind of at the same level. But when I entered Tetris, especially the block box era, and I'll probably keep coming back to block box because
No
I want to
worries.
talk about players like Corrosive, Lapsy,
Mhm.
Maserati, and Trance because they
Okay.
all specialized in different things, right? So,
Right.
for
And
example, Trance was amazing at downstacking from what people said back then. And
yeah, he
Maserati
was.
was one of the fastest players even when Tetranet was around, right?
This is very true. So, back when Tetranet was around, the Trance was widely known as the most efficient downstacker.
Mm.
He wasn't the fastest player, but I think overall ranking he was probably like number two.
Mm.
Um, so number two with slower speed than the number three and four. Number three and four being Lapsilap and Drakey. Drakey was one of my teammates on my team
Hmm.
back in the day, because yeah. And funny thing, Drakey is actually one of my best friends in real life today. So
Yeah, you guys still hang out and stuff, right? And
yeah, we
he
do.
still, I mean, he kind of fell off of the Tetris community, but sometimes I still see him posting in the forums and stuff.
Right. Well, I don't think he's posted in a long time, but he is still around. He's still one of my best friends, and I think the bonds that we make on Tetris are really strong. Because sometimes
Hmm.
I go back and I talk to some Tetranet players on Facebook
Hmm.
that I haven't talked to in maybe like 8 years, and it's like we never stop talking. So I think the bonds, the friendships we make on Tetris are pretty strong, especially if you've been through tough battles together, or maybe stayed up late nights, battled other people, bitch class, that type of thing.
Right, right. Huh. So what do you think, like, okay, so back then you think Trance was probably the best player. Do you think, like,
No, Trance was the best downstacker.
best downstacker? Okay.
Yeah, best downstacker.
Yeah. I remember, like, during the time, that, at least when I first met you, that was when you really had supremacy in the game. And this supremacy even, like, reached the Japanese players. So I guess something I wanted to talk to you about was the merging of the Japanese communities with North America, and sort of like how that even went about. Like, was that pre-hard drop or was that post-hard drop? What
That was
happened in
post-hard
between of the Tetrinet 1 and 2, and like what happened in the gap is what I'm
Okay,
trying to ask.
between Tetrinet 1 and 2 was Tetrinet 2 came out, and then naturally you want to migrate over to the latest and greatest. And Tetrinet 2 was a beautiful game. I just played it again last week, and I think it still withstands the test of time in terms of, like, it has 6-player multiplayer. You could do 3v3, 2v2v2. It has a leaderboard, hold piece, shadow piece, and all this from a game that's came out in like 2001.
Right, right.
So everyone shifted over to Tetrinet 2. Well, most people shifted to Tetrinet 2 when it came out. But between Tetrinet 1 and 2 was a lot of the same. It was just the same players. A lot of the slower players started getting phased out when Tetrinet 2 came out.
Okay.
So
that's when Tetris, the meta, was very much in favor of people who were a lot quicker at the game.
Right, because probably you don't know this, but Tetrinet 1 had a 1 second delay for each piece spawn. So you drop a piece, you wait 1 second, the next piece comes out.
Okay, so it wasn't instant like it is now.
Right, it wasn't. But Tetrinet 2 was instant.
Yeah. Did that impact the game tactically?
It did, because some of these players who are just really good at downstacking very efficiently were sort of capped at like 60, 70 pieces per minute. So they were very limited. So just to bring up one, Spin Dizzy. Spin Dizzy was one of the best on Tetrinet 1. When Tetrinet 2 came out, he was no longer, but he sort of transitioned more into a teaching role.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I remember, you know, players like I'm gonna bring up Blockbox again. Players like Meow, I see from back in the day. You know, like they veer more towards Cultures too. I barely see him in guideline games.
I think he maybe dislikes the T-spins or
T-spins. Yeah, so maybe it's like that kind of scenario, because I see like most of the efficient players typically they veer away from guideline, just because guideline at the moment it's the meta is very much in favor of people who are playing faster. There is efficiency involved, but you can very easily mask that with what you're doing, how quickly you're doing it. Players typically, you know, like playing faster, they have advantage over this. And I talked to Daniel about this. He's got strong fundamentals, but one of the problems is his speed, and because of that, he has to compensate with other things, and it's just not enough.
Let's talk trash on Daniel on this podcast.
Well, no, I'm not even talking trash about him. It's just, you know, how it is right now, right?
No, it is definitely. I am not in favor of this meta that the current guideline series has, especially when it comes to 4-wide combos. I think it's overpowered. I think even people who use it think it's overpowered, but I don't think that the Tetris company knows that it's overpowered. I don't think they're that in tune with the competitive side of things.
Would you say, I mean, in my opinion, one of the flaws of the Tetris company with the guideline and the rules that they implement is that they test run it with people who aren't on the same level as us, so they don't see the glaring problems with the imbalance of the tables for the combos, for example.
For sure. I think that they just play with the people they have in-house, which are most likely just casual, probably going like 60 to 80 pieces per minute.
Right. Yeah.
And
And
Yeah.
how do you think the meta has evolved since then? Because, okay, so 2008 was when I entered.
Okay.
Hard Drop was established, which
Hard
we'll talk
Drop?
about.
No, Hard Drop came out June 2009, actually.
2009, okay.
Yeah, 2009 is when I started Hard Drop.
Okay. I mean, I
I did
guess we're
it.
on that right now. I guess we can talk a little bit about the creation of Hard Drop.
Okay.
Yeah, what were some of the obstacles and like reactions? Because at the time, Tetris
Yeah.
concept was already a thing, right?
Tetris Concept was a thing. I'm part of Tetris Concept. I was a part of that original Tetris Concept community with Caffeine as administrator, and there were players like GGB Digital that I really looked up to who were
Right.
teaching me things.
Was this
And
Tetris concept community? Did it predate Tetrinet 1 and 2, or did it come afterwards?
it did not.
Okay,
It
so it came
well,
afterwards.
that's a good question. I'm positive that it came afterwards, but I
Okay.
need to check with Caffeine.
Yeah.
Because I think before before Tetris Concept went down,
Mm.
it was only up for about 3 years. But
Okay.
in those three, and what was I gonna say about it? But okay, so starting Hard Drop, that was something that I was thinking about already for a while because
Mhm.
I was just a a huge fan of Tetris. So
Mhm.
naturally, you want to create like a fan site for it,
Right. Right.
and I I was just looking to build a community of where I could look for competition, not only look for competition, but also players teaching each other, uh, which was different from Tetris Concept because towards the end of Tetris Concept, I noticed that there was sort of some elitism going on that I didn't like.
Okay.
In terms of, I didn't feel like SRS multiplayers were getting any respect at all.
Mhm.
I felt like so I was a member of it, and this is
Yeah.
just my opinion.
Right.
So I can't speak for other people who were there at the time, but
Mm.
I felt like okay, so I was playing Tetris DS at the time, and I was doing pretty well, but
Mhm.
anytime I would try to post about my achievements or anything or talk about it,
On,
for
on Tetris concept.
on Tetris Concept, so some people were very supportive and helpful, and then I think the more of the majority was like, oh, why are you playing SRS though? Oh, you did it on SRS though. Why don't you play ARS, TGM, that type of thing?
Right. Right.
And I didn't like that. I was like, okay, I'm more into multiplayer. That's why I'm playing this.
Mm.
But I just didn't like the SRS players were not getting any respect
Right.
back then.
Yeah,
Back then.
honestly, I think one of the dilemmas from back then with guideline, I've talked to some people about this before, and I don't want to quote anyone or make any generalizations, but let me make a generalization.
Go for it.
I think
your podcast.
from back then, SRS and guideline in general, it didn't get a lot of respect, mainly because it was the first of its kind, right? Guideline, and to have such a huge rule change from classic games like TGM and NES Tetris, I think that was a little bit. I think that was a little bit of a shock to them, and they didn't like how different the rules were of the games because something that I think I heard floating around was the opinion that SRS is just typically easier than NES and TGM games.
That is exactly the what the conception was back then, was that oh, you're doing it on an easy mode type of thing.
Right.
But in my mind I was like, okay, but when I think about everything involved, such as timing and T-spin knowledge and down stacking on all this other stuff that comes with multiplayer that I was not seeing, I was thinking it's just as difficult or could possibly even be more difficult to master multiplayer Tetris.
Yeah.
And that was one of the main factors for why I wanted to start Hard Drop, and why Hard Drop's its like motto is that we welcome players of all like doesn't matter what variant of Tetris that you play.
Right.
Because I really wanted to push the idea that every type of Tetris game requires some type of skill, and they should be respected.
Yeah, so that was why you created Hard Drop, and despite your good intentions, from what I understand, you had a lot of backlash for even attempting to start up Hard Drop.
Yeah, I did. It actually, I lost a lot of sleep back then because I was part of the Tetris concept community, and I considered I considered all of them my friends.
Mm-hmm.
But then I kept hearing things back then talking about, oh, this site looks like it's made by like a 14-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
things like that, and just like, it'll probably die within a year.
Right.
Yeah, so I heard a lot of negative things, and that's very discouraging when you're trying to start something for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. It was my first time trying to start a community, and
Yeah.
uh, I don't know. I lost a lot of sleep, and I almost shut down the site, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't
Right.
because I talked to my younger brother about it, and he's just like, "Who cares what they say?" And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"Okay, you're right, you're right." So I just went ahead and kept doing my thing. And I think back then people were thinking that I was some type of puppet for caffeine.
Mm.
They thought that we orchestrated something where he shuts down Tetris concept, and then I start up hard drop. But there was
Interesting.
not there was nothing like that. This is something
Yeah.
I was
So Tetris Concept actually shut down around the time that you started a
started
hard drop?
right. I
Oh my.
started hard drop about a week or two after Tetris concept shut down. But this
Right.
is something I was already going to start though. It
Yeah.
just happened to
Was there
be.
a reason for it shutting down, or did it just happen out of the blue?
I don't know the exact reason why Tetris Concept shut down back then. That's something that Caffeine knows. I think that he got tired of it all and just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to take it down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know all the specifics, but
No, that's fair. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Might as well not explore it then. We don't know anything about
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. And I know that to some people it still might be a touchy subject, but this was probably what was this? 2009. So this was 8 years ago. So that's why I'm comfortable talking about it now.
Okay.
Just on my side of things. I can't speak for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. Um, I mean, let's veer off that topic though, because I
Okay.
see some of our audience members talking about saying it's apparently because it was shut down by TTC. So
No,
that no,
not true. Not
not
true at
true.
all. Yeah,
Okay.
that is 100% not true. TTC did not try to shut down Tetris Concept.
Okay.
It was a decision by Caffeine himself.
Okay.
Caffeine and only Caffeine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now I want to talk to you about. Let's see. We talked about
Uh-oh.
a little bit about the top players from back then.
Okay. Okay.
Let's talk about a little bit about the other generations. Let's talk about the second
Okay.
generation of veterans.
Second generation of veterans. So
Let's say
after.
that's my generation. All right,
Okay,
you were the
your
first
generation.
one with Tetrinet
All right.
1 and 2, Tetris
Okay.
DS,
Yeah.
and then in came
In came
games.
Microblizz, breaking records left and right.
That didn't happen until 5 years down the road. But
Okay, but in came you, where you weren't that great at the start, but
no,
but you-
I remember in Tetris Tournament Online 1, you actually
mm,
destroyed me 15-2. I'll never forget that score. I'll never forget that
damn.
game. Because I
Is
had
there a
such an
replay?
easy bracket up
Is there,
until like
is
top
there,
6.
oh, did you really?
Yeah.
TTO one was good times, wasn't it? That was like one of the peak, like the most viewed Tetris tournaments ever.
Hmm.
But yeah, okay, so if we're talking about second gen, I think I would consider Jaquan second gen,
Jaquan second gen? Matt,
or would
Jaquan
you?
came slightly after, like the group of NA veterans that I like to just associate this group with second gen, like Sir Jeeves, Kenny Boy,
Uh,
QMK,
oh,
Johnny 147. Because I think of
okay.
the old school players as you,
Mm.
Maserati, Corrosive, people I grew up looking up to because they were the top players at that point.
And that you still look up to today.
Sure.
and that you will always look up to,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Right, guys? Yeah. Chad agrees
So
too. Yeah, we all look up to you guys.
so yeah, okay, so some of those names are names I have not heard of in a while.
In a
In a
while.
while.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
like maybe 3 years since we all played together in
Sir
that
G,
fashion.
Sir
Maybe even
Jeeves,
longer than that, actually.
Johnny, QMK, you, Kenny Boy. Oh
Hmm.
my gosh. Larry Tetris.
Hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Show,
Larry Tetris.
Chopin?
Chopin.
Yeah, the
Was
second
Chopin
gen.
second gen?
I think he was. I think he came around the same time as you guys, and
Okay.
he's like last. He was that generation's Yakin.
Yeah.
No,
Like
actually,
second
Yakin.
gen really.
No, no,
I wanted to
Yakin
talk
is
about
this.
second gen just because, in terms of the evolution of competitive Tetris, that's in my opinion where we were in like the golden age, where everybody was just kind of figuring out new things, and there was
That's
always
that's
something new to learn, a new strategy, new stacking methods. I remember
right.
when Messiah came up with his infinite TST, for example.
Messiah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I do remember. That's funny that you mentioned Golden Age because when I think of Golden Age of Tetris, I still think of even all these years later, I still think of Tetrinet too.
Hmm.
But I can see why Golden Age for you would be when you stepped on the scene.
Right.
Uh, and I agree with you because that was a time when we just figured out about the Japanese community. We were
Hmm.
still like,
Everything was very much growing too.
yeah, we had a lot of catching up to do, and yeah, so we were just nonstop in learn mode.
Yeah, yeah,
I believe.
exactly. I remember. I mean, we were still pretty much in learn mode up until like maybe 2013,
I'm
where I,
still in learn mode right now, man.
yeah, all right, fair enough. We're all in learn mode. We're all pretty trash players now. Where second gen can't really keep up with the new players these days. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest. Well, let's talk about the next gen
Okay.
later. But
Okay.
okay,
Sure.
second gen. This was like around the time where the center four wide was really getting prominent as well with Secret Salamander. Remember that
Yes,
HDO?
I do remember. He caught me by surprise when
Yeah,
he
he pulled it
asked up
out, and I think like he got 7 out of the 8 games from that
seven.
match.
It was 15 to
Or,
7.
or 8 out of the 11, or
No, no,
what was the score?
well, the final score was 15-7 or 15-8.
Oh,
But
okay.
all his wins were four wide,
Hmm.
and that was the first time I ran into four wide, and I didn't
Right.
know what to do against it.
Yeah. I
I
feel
get
like NA never really recovered from that period of time. We lost confidence in our own
that
skills because we couldn't deal with the four wide.
that was our peak. He, he Secret Salamander unleashed that on us, and then he just disappeared from the scene.
Yeah. And then I guess this was around the time we all started playing, other than Blockbox, we also played No Pomino when it came out, and
Right.
Tetris Online Japan when it was still on, and
Oh
then
yeah.
we started with Tetris Online Poland, and then other remakes came out in the other generations of Tetris. With
Yeah.
new players coming in, programming and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was a
Do you,
great time, and
do
that
you-
was around the period of time where I was very much excited about Tetris because that was when you had supremacy and Hebomai
uh,
was not close behind.
right. So okay. So about that time, that was the early days when I was first getting into TOJ.
Hmm.
And I've been playing Tetris a long time, and I've had so many rivalries over the years because of each different game has different rivals, right?
Hmm.
But there was something special about the rivalry with Samaf, I feel like, because he was my first Japanese rival,
Right.
and at the time Japan was already seen as like the top nation for Tetris. They were
Right. Yeah.
the best at Tetris, and this is their best player. So it's the
Hmm.
best player in Japan, so the best player in the best Tetris nation. And at the time, nobody outside of Japan was really able to compete with anyone in maybe even the top 5 or 10
Hmm.
in Japan,
Yeah.
because this was when TOJ was still in its early days, I think.
Right. Yeah.
So to have an English speaker be able to hang with their number one guy, I believe was sort of it's something I'm really proud of.
Yeah.
Even though I never talk about it because
Yeah.
I think it was a huge moment for non-Japanese Tetris where
Hmm.
it kind of put us on the map. Like, hey, we're here too. We know how to play,
Hmm.
and then I think they started noticing us more in that
Yeah,
regard.
because specifically you were the only one really that got special treatment from the Japanese players because you could play on their level. And you always, in my opinion, you always
Right,
got that extra little, like they acknowledged you because of your skill. And that really helped out NA.
right. I think it actually even brought some Japanese players over to Hard Drop at the time.
Yeah,
Even though
yeah.
even
Because
though they
I
didn't
remember
speak.
they started playing Tetris Friends after.
Right, right, and even Nopomino and things like that.
Hmm.
They started coming along and like, hey, what's this about? What are you guys playing over here? Even though
Yeah,
they couldn't even write in English, so we were doing like Google Translate back and forth,
yeah,
especially on like Nico Nico video. I
yeah.
used to like Google Translate. What are they saying? I see my name and just a bunch of characters.
Yeah, now that we're on that, I guess like how did you even interact or even like play Tetris online Japan or even find out about it back then?
Uh, I
How did you get an account? Because didn't you need a social insurance number from Japan?
No, 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 no. You're thinking Han Game. Han
Han
Game,
game, okay.
you needed social security from Korea,
Right.
and I think someone hooked me up anyways with that. But TOJ, I think it was just translation of the registration page,
Right.
and the way I interacted was using Google Translate with
Right.
the viewers of Nico Nico,
Yeah.
and then
Did you ever have any awkward moments?
I wouldn't say awkward. I think they liked me there
Yeah.
because I would frequently reference anime that I was watching at the time.
Like
I,
Bleach,
I was a huge
Bankai.
Bleach Bankai, and they would bust out the W's,
Yeah.
and then and also Naruto. I would use like Rasengan, but
Mm.
I would only use these when I was losing, and then all of a sudden I'd win 2 rounds in a row, and they're like, "It's real, it's real." So yeah, that's how I would interact with them back then. Was just using Google Translate,
Okay.
and I guess it was entertaining.
Yeah,
I
for
hope that
sure.
they
I
liked it.
mean, like after I feel like, now that I'm talking to you about this, I feel like you really made an impact with that kind of merging of the communities. Because after Tetris Online Japan, you competed with their top guys. Then they started coming to our games, and I remember, the interactions between NA and Japan. They were, like
Very friendly, right?
yeah, they were very friendly. In
Yeah.
fact, like I remember when Roa KS was still playing. Remember
Ah,
him?
Roa. Yes, of course I remember
Yeah,
him.
and I would see him in a room, and he just played like 200 games in one room.
Yeah,
And
the guy
then
was a
like
machine.
afterwards, I'd be like, "Yo, you want to 1v1?" He'd still be down.
Did you know that Roa played on gamepad? He played on gamepad on the PC,
Really?
and he was that fast. Yeah, no joke. He streamed it too.
Yo,
He streamed.
he has a 28-second time. He got that with gamepad.
I think he got it with gamepad. I think so.
Wow.
Because
Yo,
I remember
I think Fran S actually plays with gamepad as well.
they are crazy on gamepad. I
Yeah.
don't know how they do it.
Yeah, I didn't know it was possible. That's why I never
Appa-
tried.
apparently it is. It's probably like perfect dash and all that stuff.
Wow. That's pretty incredible because I remember Roa being a very polished player, at least in my opinion.
Back then he was one of the best. I think
Yeah.
he was top 10 Japan.
I'd say
Roa.
top 10. And
Yeah, top 10.
I don't know if this was true, but back then, when Hebomai was getting more popular and he was probably the best player in Japan, like somebody told me that Roa was more popular over in the Japanese community
Oh.
just because apparently remember like back when Hebo was a little bit more cocky of a player.
I do remember.
Like
I do. Remember.
I remember when there was an HDO. He still had a game with Trance, and you said he tried to schedule the next match with you, assuming that he would have beaten Trance. And he did, but that wasn't the point, right?
Yeah, I do think it's kind of weird to schedule a match ahead of time when you haven't played your opponent yet.
Yeah.
Like schedule your next round. But that's confidence. That's confidence, and maybe that confidence played a role in him winning 3 TTOs. I'm sure it did. A lot of the top leaders in the world, I'm sure, are very confident people.
Or at least they believe what they say. Like that's like a bare minimum for a leader.
Right. I think there's nothing wrong with believing in yourself, I guess. But yeah, I still remember. I can see why at that moment, that very moment, Roa is more popular because Roa just an overall extremely nice person.
Yeah.
I think Hebo was still out to prove himself because he was probably 3rd or 4th in the world behind Samaf, myself.
Right.
So
where do you think was it exactly that Hebo started to gain supremacy? Was it actually the introduction of timing into play?
No, timing's been in play ever since Tetris DS days, like
Okay.
maybe even before that. So timing was already there. I
Right.
think he somewhere after HDO3.
Mhm.
So HDO1, I believe was Blockbox, and I think he played that, but he wasn't very good on Blockbox. HDO2
We're talking
was
about Hebo or we're talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
Samaf?
No, we're talking about Hebel.
Okay. All right.
So
Because
we're talking about no,
they both played though, didn't they?
they did.
Yeah.
They
But
participated in
Samaf
our
played under the
tournaments.
tag Mask, right?
I think he played under the name Samaf still.
Smaf. Okay.
But yes, Mask is his alias,
Mm.
M2SK.
Mhm.
But Hebel's rise happened shortly after HDO3, which I believe was the TOJ one. The TOJ.
HDO3. Okay. TOJ. Oh yeah. Actually, yeah. I actually think I
Yes.
remember that final. That was a pretty intense one. And
Right.
I think you streamed it too, and afterwards you looked at the stats and
Mm,
you saw that you were faster than him, but he was sending more
mm.
than you, and then you were like, "Oh,
Right.
okay, so that means he's more efficient than I am."
Right. That's
Mm,
yeah. But after HDO3, after he did reach that top spot, he didn't give it up for a long time.
mm,
He kept it because
right.
it used to be me and Hebo in the finals for HDO1.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know about HDO1, but HDO2 for sure.
Mm,
And then there's like some Japanese tournaments that they held also.
mm-hmm.
But around HDO3, I I don't remember who won HDO3, but I remember being in the finals with Hebo.
Now
Um,
HDO3, probably. I mean, if you were in the finals with Hebo, I don't
mm.
know. Was that the point where
There
Hebo
was a
finally?
turning point.
Yeah, there
There
was a
was a
turning point.
the turning
Dude,
point
I remember that era
was a
because
tournament final.
nobody wanted you to win because
Oh,
you won
right?
everything.
I remember that too. I remember that era too.
And then
And
now it's Hebo's turn. Remember
yeah,
like
and now yeah,
TTO4,
now
nobody wanted him to win.
he, I guess
Everybody
that's
hates the top guy.
no. Everyone hates the top guy if you've been on top too long. That's the
Mm,
thing. Only if you've
yeah,
been on top too long. If you win one or two, okay. But if you've been on top too long, it's someone else's turn, and
mm.
that's fair. I think that's fair. Like
That
people
is
wanted,
fair, yeah.
I
Because
think people
then, I
wanted the
mean,
Warriors
then
to
the
lose.
game just becomes too static if the same guy's winning all the time, right?
Right. It gets boring.
Yeah, there's nothing to watch really. I mean, don't get me wrong, he deserved it. He was an
Yeah, he did.
amazing player. But even
He,
more
yeah.
so now. I mean, just the way that the meta has evolved since
Mm.
then. I mean, back then it was very much just back to backs, right? We didn't really implement combos and figure out how to make cheese or
Right.
anything on
Back
like a
then was a
grand
lot cleaner.
scale.
Back then was a lot cleaner because
Hmm.
we were coming from Tetris DS.
Right.
So we would combo during our down stacks, but we would not purposely stack up for combos mid
Yeah.
game or at the start.
Hmm.
So the meta's changed, and well, I think we've seen in the last TTO, there are new people on top now. The
Hmm.
people on top like Mega Roki, Yui Metal,
Hmm.
Matchabar, um,
I mean, I
pretty
think
much.
Hebo's still at the top. It's just he's
You think
um,
he's number one though?
I don't think he's number one. I think he's
Okay.
still near the top.
No, I
But
agree with that.
we
I
do
agree.
have some. I think the meta now is very much a combination of all the different metas that we've had over the years, from like first generation and second.
No, and that's the thing. Every generation is learning from its past generation and then
Yeah,
tweaking it, seeing what works. But I feel like every generation has learned from its past one,
yeah,
and
and I
that's why you
guess.
see these new players today picking up things so quickly. Um, it's because I want to give some credit to the people who came before them also because those were the videos those new players watched and learned from, and the players who were created those videos probably took a long time to create them and learn those strategies
Mhm.
that they're absorbing so quickly.
Right, right, man. And honestly, the players that are coming out these days, like I feel like it started sort of like it was the onset started with players like Vince and One Pun Man,
Mm-hmm.
and now we have players like Yakin and Firestorm, and even in my opinion,
Squirtle one.
Squirtle, right? Squirtle,
Yeah.
and I keep meeting like random decent players, like on Just Stress. I met someone called Dino, I think, and apparently he's Yakin's practice partner. I think he's got really solid fundamentals. You know, very clean stacks, cleaner than mine and yours, to be honest. And I
This
think
new generation scary.
yeah, the new generation.
They have a chance. I think they have a chance against Japan. If they keep honing their skills.
Yeah, I think they see our flaws, or maybe they just like the way that this style has kind of emerged as the best one. You know, the Japanese efficiency, stacking based, coupled with a strong use of timing in some areas. You know, for spiking purposes and things like that. Yeah. And you know, couple that with strong fundamentals in creating back-to-backs like Tetrises and T-spins, creating those kind of opportunities. And not only that, but down stacking, dude. Down stacking is something that I've been trying to pay attention more to after, you know, looking at players like QMK and QMK, Alexandra, Apocalypse, Anonymous. I'm looking at, you know, new players and old players from back in the day, and I'm starting to see, you know, down stacking is incredibly useful. And
that's one of those skills that's important on any Tetris game, no matter what Tetris game you're playing. It doesn't have to be guideline. It could be clones also. Down stacking is like universally important.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, like it definitely gives them an advantage in my opinion. I remember talking to Daniel about him playing Alexandra, and he said, you know, like, man, looking at Alexandra, clean stacking really is the way to go, because there were no openings, right? A lot of NA's meta, I feel like, is taking advantage of your player's weaknesses, but what happens when there are no weaknesses?
Yeah, I agree, and it's one of the things that makes those players so difficult to finish off is the down stacking and the
balanced and, you know, very teeter-totter kind of game. You know, where anything can really happen, and it depends on who can get the best opportunity where and who can capitalize on misdrops or anything that might happen in the interval.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's one of the things that makes Tetris so fun. It's like a live chess game.
Yeah. Yeah, and you kind of have to adapt to the situation, especially if you misdrop. I mean, some of the fixes I see some players doing are so elegant.
Some of the fixes I see you doing on your stream are pretty elegant.
Not in my opinion, because they always end up working out, but well, not always.
But by luck?
Not always. All right, not always. I just try things sometimes, you know.
And it works out.
I feel like I was very much inspired by Yui Metal in TTO4. The solutions, the shapes he made, how open he kept his field so that he can literally do anything he wanted. The way he used timing, my goodness.
Right, when he's like so close to death, but then he waits a bit.
Yeah, exactly. It's very Matchabar-esque.
Yes, I agree.
From when he was playing regularly, I remember he would always do those spikes from the top. And sometimes I don't know if this is correct, but sometimes I feel like they're even baiting out a misdrop. You know?
I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe, or at least hoping for a misdrop. They're hoping for one.
Yeah, because I mean, screen watching is very much part of their meta, in my opinion. Because apparently it's part of Puyo Puyo. And I feel like this falls very much in line with
I didn't even think of that connection. That connection.
Yeah. Okay. At least that's what I've been told. Apparently, screen watching is part of the meta in Puyo, and ever since I started the game, I remember in second generation, screen watching became more and more of a thing.
Yeah. I mean, I screen watched back then. I feel like I'm doing it less and less now, but I need to pick that back up again. It's just such an important skill to know what status your opponent's field is at, whether or not to spike or down stack. It gives you so much information for just a very quick glance.
It's very useful if like you have well-rounded skills. In my opinion, good stacking should be #1 on that list. Just because if you don't have good stacking and you're looking over your field, if your field looks like garbage, you're not going to be able to capitalize anyway, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. But maybe you could look and then you could clean up your field.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, that I feel like in higher level play that's less of a thing though.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, actually, I can't be sure. The way I see the game right now, the Japanese players are just too high up on the pedestal right now for me to even like look
But
at what they're doing and be able to
but
delineate
but
what's happening.
but is it because we put them on that pedestal? I think that
It,
we have some players who can compete.
interesting. You think it's
I
a
think
mental block that we have?
I think it's a mental block. I think we can beat the Japanese if
Mm,
we because they're just humans, right? They're just
right.
humans. So at least I think they're humans. But and we're humans too. And
Right.
we have fingers, they have fingers, and
Mm,
we just need to learn how to play more efficiently. And I
yeah.
think that one person that I could say of right now who's pretty close to the Japanese top players is One Punch Man. I think
One
that
Punch
guy's
Man.
really good.
Okay.
Yeah, I respect the way he plays, and
Hmm.
I think that he's picking up how the Japanese play because he watches them a lot. At least I
Yeah.
think he watches them a lot, and I think that other non-Japanese players can do the same.
Mm,
And it might take some time, but I don't think that they're that far ahead of us. I think they're ahead of us, yes,
mm,
but I think they're within reach.
right.
Um, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I guess it's just I don't. I guess this would be a good time to talk about styles. I I don't know what it is. I typically think the Japanese players have supremacy, just mainly on the way they play. It's very polished, you know.
it's
Like NA, I
it's
think is a little rougher around the edges, but it's there. The
Mhm.
fundamentals and stuff. Korean players, they just try to play as fast as they can, in my opinion.
fast but they have efficient down stacking.
They
They
do
have
have efficient down stacking, and I
those
think
are
partly that might be because of hand game, and
yes.
the way that it worked.
Yeah, it makes sense that way. I think Japanese are just extremely efficient with every single line clear, and
Yeah,
it,
they
it
don't waste pieces. They're
it helps
very
that they have
efficient.
it helps that they have like strong teachers, some math and things like that, who
Right.
probably
Yeah.
stream on Nico Video and teach them every week,
Yeah.
and they have strong competition day in day out.
Hmm.
Whereas us, we only have a handful of people, and sometimes we don't really play against each other,
Right.
when
Yeah.
we're not helping each other out as much as we could.
Yeah. That was
Where it's just like
discussed before too. I remember the fact that we don't have a whole lot of good practice partners, or our top players are good, but they're not
mhm.
as good as their top players, and they have more of us over there than we have of
Right.
us. There's
Yes.
there's more of a skill gap over here than it is over there, where
And a
everybody
lot
is more balanced.
a lot of times when we play, it's just like, you want a 1v1? Okay, let's play mindlessly, listen to
Yeah.
music, and that's it. I think I don't know for certain, but I think back then, the Japanese, when they're playing, they discuss things. They
Mm,
discuss what they're doing and things like
right.
that. And I think that helps their mentality on
Mm,
how they're playing Tetris.
yeah.
So maybe that's
That's
something we could
that's
try
interesting
promoting.
too. Yeah, like I feel like whenever they get into a game, at least their Tetris community, they really dig into everything to break the limits. No matter where they are,
Hmm.
in terms of skill, they'll always find a way to reach that next level. And I think we definitely saw that in TTO3. Again, like we saw Hebomai doing T spins that we never seen before. In that kind of
Hmm.
way, we knew that you could do those T spins, but not in that efficient kind of way.
Right.
And I think that kind of adoption definitely changed the game a little bit. Now everybody wants to be efficient, and
Hmm.
we talked about One Pun Man, and
Yeah.
he watches the Japanese play. I'm sure he analyzes different kinds of play, and I think the main part of his play is just efficiency,
No,
because
I agree.
efficiency,
His speed is
stacking.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
Speed is good, but there's faster people. But he wins because what I like about him is his timing. He
Mm.
times really well, in my
Yeah,
opinion. So
everything is very meticulous, in my opinion, with One Pawn Man. And it's interesting because I played him in a free-for-all in Justress, and
Okay.
I remember him saying he didn't really like the speed because you didn't have time to think through your decisions with efficiency and stuff. And
Yeah, it's a different type of play style,
it
and
definitely is. And I kind of see like the problems with that with Tetris right now. You have to be very quick, and that's kind of dissenting people away from the game. The same way that people who started off with Tetrinet 1 fell off a bit with Tetrinet 2 because speed became a factor more and more, right?
well, I think it's just one of those things where either you adapt or you quit, that type of thing. Either you can adapt to the changes
Yeah.
that are happening in the meta, or you quit the game. And I know we hype up the Japanese a lot because it's well deserved. They're really efficient at guideline, but I think that a lot of our strengths are in non-guideline games as well, the North America anyways, because we've come from games like Tetrinet and Tetrinet 2 that were not guideline, so it only makes sense that we'd be stronger in those form of games.
Yeah, and I also remember Caffeine, you know, after TTO 3, remember the game for 5th place for NA's best, you and me? And
I do remember.
yeah,
I do remember.
and
I lost that one.
afterwards, yeah, I mean, it was a laggy day, man. Like
It was
that
laggy.
was a terrible game in my opinion. But
Yeah.
even afterwards, everyone was saying, you know, like NA's best. You know, like it wasn't even about that though.
Oh, like fighting for NA's
Yeah,
best when it's
exactly.
really fifth place.
And then I remember
Yeah.
Caffeine coming in and saying, yeah, but Blink is still one of the most well-rounded NA players at the top. Because at that point, you were good in a multitude of other games.
Well, I think at that time I was playing. I played a little bit of Culturist for those 2 tournaments, and then
Yeah.
I played Blockbox. I played Nopomina. I just like to play a lot of different games because when I play one game too long, it gets kind of boring. One Tetris game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that that the Japanese are strong on guideline, I mean, there's no doubt about that. But if they were playing non-guideline games, it might be a different story in terms of rankings.
Yeah, I guess like an example of that would be maybe NES Tetris, because typically American players are the strongest. At least that's the impression that Supa has been giving me.
Well, didn't someone go over to Europe?
Apparently, Alex says that the Japanese are good at C2 as well.
Oh, I can believe that. I mean, I'm not saying that they're bad at any clones or anything like that. I'm just saying they're not as dominant as they are on guideline.
They just don't play as much. That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to discuss with the meta and skill evolution of that? I guess like
I'm just hoping that the meta does shift, because right now I do think that it is very especially with Puyo Puyo Tetris that just came out, it's become 4-wide OP. 4-wide is OP right now, especially on Puyo Puyo Tetris because of the additional line clear delay. That makes it slows down your back-to-back to try to counter that.
Yeah. Well, you did mention Puyo Puyo Tetris. Do you think that has what do you think of the game so far? You know, like you played it on PS4. Do you have the Switch as well?
I do not have the Switch, but
okay.
I still own it on PS4. I haven't touched it in a while. Just because
I
was looking forward to.
It's really difficult to matchmake, at least on PS4. It was more difficult on PS4, from what people have said.
You have a better chance of adding a friend and playing them that way. So yeah, sometimes it takes a while to find a match. I think the game is really well made. I think
it's very polished. I also think, you know, there's the same problem every single time when, you know, a new game gets introduced. Most players, at least the new generation and the old one, they don't really like playing outside of PC because of the way that the Tetris community has operated, at least with Guideline as of late. It's always about faster and more polished games, and the more and more we separate ourselves from the rest of the world, because our community is a collection of some of the world or most of the world's best players, and in my opinion, one of the problems with a guideline is that we have no real way of introducing or no real segue into like allowing players to find out what they need to work on. You know,
like one central game.
Yeah, we don't. Well, not one central game so much as we don't have tutorials out that are just open access and are easily accessible, other than the wiki page.
Yeah, the wiki page. I was gonna say I mean, hard drive is accessible anywhere, but I guess because it's not multi-language, it's just English. But yeah, I'm not sure about that.
That's fair. All right. Well, let's move on then. I wanted to talk to you about E3, test running, Tetris Ultimate, and I guess like we can talk about meeting Hank Rogers and Maya Rogers as well.
Okay. All right.
What that experience was like. Well, which one would you like to tackle, man?
We could go chronological order. So
okay.
Because I met Maya Rogers back in like it was at CTWC 2011.
Right. Okay.
The tournament that myself and Arf won for the 2v2.
Right, for the PlayStation 3 Tetris.
Yeah, PS3 doubles Tetris. And then I think and I also won the single player for that one too.
Right, yeah.
But so during I first met Maya Rogers during the award ceremony for that. So she was giving out awards. I didn't even know who she was. I thought she was a TTC employee, just a TTC employee. I didn't even know Hank Rogers had a daughter.
Right.
So there's this girl coming over with 2 trophies, and she's like, "Hey, I know you, Blink," and I'm like, thank you. I don't know who you are."
Thank you.
But yeah, I was flattered. I think I had with me like a box of T-shirts for hard drop T-shirts.
Oh, and you gave her one, right?
I gave her one, and I later found out that the T-shirt I gave her was Mind's Eye. So Mind's Eye didn't get a shirt that day, and he let me hear.
Oh no!
I was too caught up in the moment. I was too
think
happy.
He was talking about that on one of the streams too.
I need to apologize to him later. That was like 2011. That was.
Did he ever get his
6 years
t-shirt?
ago?
He
never got it. He never got his T-shirt.
Okay.
I need to apologize, even though it's 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But okay, hey, you could get it from Maya Rogers, Mind's Eye. Yeah, so I was too caught up in the moment. And I just gave out like a bunch of T-shirts to the TTC staff because we had extras.
I mean, like you made those. What did you make those T-shirts? Was that for the hard drop team that we were presumably gonna make?
It was not for a team. It was just, hey, who's showing up to CTWC, and who would like a T-shirt? We're placing orders right now, and then Arf had a hookup to create the shirts for pretty cheap, so it was like 20 a person. It wasn't too bad.
Right.
So, and they were like limited edition. There's only that was the only year we did it, but we should probably do another one soon, like a group buy for T-shirts.
Yeah.
I
mean, I would want one.
Would you?
I would, dude. I wanted one back then too. I was just a kid and didn't want to ask.
I would have got you one.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I feel like it was the same thing. The thing is, I was still a kid back then, and
we get you extra
everybody
small.
treated me like a kid too, because everybody was a little bit older in like their 20s and in university and stuff.
Yeah. If I treated you like a kid, I'm sorry.
No, you never treated me like a kid. That was actually what I liked about you, because I won't get into that. That's like old news.
No. What do you like about me, though? What do you like? For real, though.
For real?
What do you like about me?
Man, I mean, there's a lot of things I like, man. I like your Bonkai.
It's too OP.
It's real cute when it comes out. I'm like, oh
my god,
he pulled it out.
I'm gonna treat you like a kid from now on.
All right,
what were we talking about? Oh, Maya Rogers, right?
Yeah, Maya Rogers. So you gave her the T-shirt.
She's like, oh, she actually says she's a fan of me, Maya Rogers. True story.
Yeah.
And then, so after she said that, I still didn't know who she was, but after I got home, I kind of looked her up, and I was like, oh, So Hank Rogers' daughter says she's a fan.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first time I met Maya Rogers, and
Mm-hmm.
that was CTWC.
Mm-hmm.
I actually met a lot of people at CTWC. I met Caffeine, Aaron, Roger, Kitaru, a bunch of NES players.
Right.
Yeah. Who else? What's his name? Triple A? Do you remember Triple A?
I remember AAA. Yeah.
There were some.
Was it Triple A or Triple H?
Triple A, LEI.
Oh, Triple A. Okay, I remember.
Yeah, Triple A. He was a good Tetris DS player, but he went to the tournament. There were some top Tetris Splash players there. Air Gear.
Yeah.
He was one of the top Tetris Splash players, and he wouldn't even give his name out. Like he was just he was doing really well, but he didn't give out his nickname. He wanted to be like anonymous about it. And yeah, that was a really fun tournament. And then Tetris Ultimate, right? Tetris Ultimate at E3. Okay, so that event was probably the most fun I've ever had at a Tetris event in my life. I'm pretty sure that Tetris Ultimate showcasing event ruined E3 for me, because I've been to E3 several years after that.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not the same. It's not as fun anymore. I didn't even go this year, but that was like one of those once in a lifetime moments. Like you get VIP treatment because I'm with the executive producer of Tetris Ultimate, which was Adrian Price, a really nice like European guy, and he brought me up to the Ubisoft lounge, to the upstairs of it. They had like a private balcony thing, and you could see like the entire E3 from it. And I took some pictures from it, and I shared it on Facebook, I believe, but I don't have it with me right now. And they were drinking champagne up there. So upstairs had Alexei Pajitnov, the creator of Tetris. So he was there sitting. He was wearing like a white suit and sitting on a couch, surrounded by a bunch of press people, interviewing for the 25th. I think that 25th or 30th anniversary of Tetris. I forgot. And then Hank Rogers was upstairs, Maya Rogers. That was my first time meeting Hank Rogers, since I think that was the topic we were on.
Right.
Yeah, so Adrian Price brought me upstairs and introduced me to Hank Rogers, who was very welcoming, very nice guy. I know sometimes we joke about him on Hard Drop just because of like TTC's business decisions, but in real life he's a straight up really cool guy, very welcoming. And when I was shaking his hand, he called for Alexei to come over, so Alexei came over too and started talking to me for a little bit. And just it was kind of surreal. I don't know how to describe it.
To the makers of the game that you love.
Yeah, talking to the makers of the game, and they're just having a fun time upstairs, drinking champagne, and the view was like extremely beautiful up there. And then all of a sudden, I hear like Tetris music going on, and there's like a bunch of Tetris dancers coming out, dressed up as Minos, and they're like, and they start heading down. The Minos start dancing downstairs, and they head to the main stage. So I'm like, what the heck is going on here?
I guess that was your cue.
That was my cue. They're like, so Adrian was like, John, it's time to go. And then they brought me onto the stage in front of like a ton of people. And this was my first time playing Tetris Ultimate. I never played it before, but like I'm thinking everyone here is just casual, right? So it's not even gonna be difficult. So I was actually demoing against Adrian. So Adrian was up there, and he whispered in my ear, he's like, John, let me win the first round. That's what he said. He said, John, let me win the first round. I don't want to look bad. I think honestly, he had a bet going on with somebody that he could take a round.
Let him win?
I let him win one because
I wouldn't have done that, man. I would have wiped my socks off with him.
I mean, they're nice enough to invite you on stage and give you like VIP treatment, pay for your E3 ticket and all that.
But this is your opportunity to destroy him. I'm joking, man.
I should have. Well, I kind of feel bad because he's no longer with Ubisoft after the TU failure. I think they canned him. But yeah, I gave him the round. After that, I took him out. And then all of a sudden, the announcer girl, who is Ubisoft's like announcer gamer girl, she starts saying, all right, who wants to challenge the champion? Blink. And I was like, I never signed up for this. this is my first time playing this game. You're putting me on the spot. This is too much pressure. But I couldn't really say no, so I was like, oh, crap.
Yeah, a little
And
quick
then-
to the jump there. The game's
Yeah,
not even
they're like-
released. You're already the champion.
But a lot of people started raising their hands, so I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, get in line, get in line.
Oh, so they lined up to try to beat
they-
you?
They lined up to try to beat me. So that's why,
Did
that's why I'm
anyone
saying
take
this is-
anything from you?
No, they did. Nobody took a single round, thankfully.
Oh my god! Oh
But
no!
but the way some of them were talking though,
Yeah.
so because they were talking trash when they got up there, some of them, especially this one girl.
Oh, she thought she can take you.
This one Asian girl said she was gonna kick my ass on the mic, and she's like, I'm extremely good at this game, like blah 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 blah, which confused me because when she started playing, she was extremely bad. She was
Right,
really bad.
Right.
And then there were some decent players. Actually, two hard drop members were there. KD Bar, you know KD Bar,
Yeah.
second gen player, right? KD Bar.
Yeah.
So he was at
too, I think. So you know.
no, he lives in Irvine.
Oh, does
He's
he?
from California. Yeah,
I might
I know.
have gotten my names mixed up. Could be some other Canadian.
Letter K, letter D, and then Bar. So he was pretty good, but he got taken out. And then some other Kurito something, you know, the hard drop member, Kurito something,
Carollo or something. I don't know.
Kurito Kappa or something like that. Oh my god, I forgot his name. But he's a hard drop member, and he was the one who got on a winning streak after. So after a while, after I was beating the people in the audience, they're like, okay, let's let the audience play each other. So it was just the audience playing each other. And then one guy was on like a 7-win streak, and it was Kurito Capso or something like that. He's
Right.
I'm gonna find him after our interview. I'm gonna find his name.
all right, yeah.
But he was beating everyone, and then the producer was like, Adrian was like, John, get back on stage, go beat this dude, go show him what's up. So I went and took him out, and then
So you truly were the champ that day.
that day I was the champ. That's what I'm telling you. That was a very like fun night for me. It was Kirito, Quanic. No, his name was longer than just Kirito. It was more than that. But it started with a K 100%. It started with a K.
Somebody has Explosive has a link. Kariko?
No, so it's not that guy. It's someone that starts with a K though, and his name is longer than that, and I think it was all lowercase. I just don't remember what it was. I'll find him.
No worries, man. No worries.
What else? So after E3 was over, after that was over, I went back upstairs and like TTC and Ubisoft people, the CEO of Ubisoft, which is like he was a European guy also, a short European guy.
Yeah.
They all surrounded me and they're like, "Wow, you did a great job. Thanks for demoing. Can you come back tomorrow?" That type of thing.
Yeah.
But I couldn't because I had finals tomorrow. The next day. The next day I had
Right,
finals. So I couldn't come back the next day. I don't know how the next day went. But to end the rest of the night at E3 was I was able. So Adrian gave me this special pass, this Ubisoft pass,
Right.
where I could just cut any line and demo all the
Oh,
games.
that
So
must have been amazing.
it was because each line was probably a 2-hour wait or one hour
Right,
wait to
yeah,
2-hour wait.
yeah.
So I was just cutting lines. I was playing the latest Assassin's Creed and the VR games without waiting. So it was pretty amazing. So that's why I'm saying like I think that ruined the E3 for me. I can't live up to
Because
that.
you got the
after
VIP
that.
experience.
Yes, I got the VIP experience.
Yeah, the lines are no bueno, are they?
Oh, the guy's name was Kurisu Katsu. That guy, Kurisu Katsu.
Kurisu Kasu.
KUURISUKATSU.
Okay.
That's the dude.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
he's a
we
nice-
have the name.
nice
now.
guy, though.
I don't recognize it, to be honest, but
Okay.
yeah, maybe I'll look him up later.
Apparently, like later, I looked him up because he told me his name on Hard Drop. He said he was a member for. I looked him up. He's apparently pretty popular in some countries as some type of announcer or something like that.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, so he's a popular guy.
I mean,
So
all right.
yeah, that's the first time I met Hank. And then before the end of the day, they autographed a bunch of stuff. They autographed some T-shirts. I met with Hank's son. He has a son also, and
Okay.
the son gave me some swag, and then both Alexia and Hank signed stuff. So that was pretty much it.
That's pretty cool, actually. So,
Yeah,
I mean, so you mentioned Tetris Ultimate. You were part of the team that, or I guess I can't really even say team, but you were one of the testers for that.
I was a
And
beta tester.
right. So
I was
was that before E3 happened or afterwards?
That was after E3 happened.
Oh,
That was
okay.
after E3. They invited me to be a beta tester because there was still time before release.
Right, right,
And that was a waste of time. The beta testing was a waste of time.
right.
I beta tested. I gave feedback. They did nothing about it. And then I even told them like, if you don't put control like something simple like changing controls was not out on release of Tetris Ultimate. And I told them like people are gonna complain about this, and they're like if they so you know what the response was from the Ubisoft people? That it was if they were good, they would be able to win with these controls. That was I don't know, dude. It seems like
Yeah,
that
that
sounds
seems
so
kind of a
lazy.
lackluster response. It's kind of a
That's
cop
just
out.
that's just lazy. We're not gonna implement changing controls because if people were good, they would win with these controls.
I mean, I
Like
guess
that was
that makes sense, but at the same time, it's 2017. We should be able
yeah.
to change our keybinds if we want to.
Like Tetrinet was 1998. It had key changes in
Yeah,
1998.
yeah.
It was made by one guy who wasn't even getting paid to make the game. Like it was just one fan of the game. I really thought there was no excuse for that, especially when this is Ubisoft. You guys made Assassin's Creed and all these like production quality games. You can't even
Right.
add control changes. But I didn't say it like that. I just said like, okay. I mean, people are not gonna like this. That's what I told them, and they still went with releasing it without control changes. Other things I complained about was there was no type of score counter. I mentioned that the game felt laggy in multiplayer, but
Yeah,
all they
actually,
were
like
focused.
nobody could get a sub 1 minute time just because it was that laggy, and
Yeah.
the DAS, it was incredibly slow, but it was also imposed onto the game.
For me, it sounded like they just ran out of funding for the
Ran out
game.
of
Like
funding.
they,
Yeah, it
yeah,
seemed very
This
much
is
like,
and it's-
at least the impression you gave. I think we talked about this too, about you beta testing. You said that there were a group of people who really did want this game to succeed and wanted to do spectacular things with it, but when it's like boggled down with business
So many
and
issues.
marketing, and like they have to go through the steps of development, with testing specific things. So even something as small as like making the menu thing, they'd have to like make sure it was okay with everyone and then test it. And I remember they went on Hard Drop and asked us whether we thought implementing double bag would be a good thing for the game.
I think they were just trying to like I don't know, give the illusion that they cared what the community was gonna say.
Right. Okay.
Like right before release. I think that yeah. I don't think they were gonna implement double bag regardless. Yeah. At least that's the impression I got from speaking with them directly during the beta test, was just like, what is the bare minimum we could do to get this out, because we're pretty much out of money. That's
okay.
that's
Yeah,
what
I mean, I got real cynical about Ubisoft and stuff after that. I couldn't buy another Assassin's Creed game just because of exactly that.
I mean,
it felt
a shame.
very much like they got the license for what
Yeah.
they thought would be easy money, right?
Yeah, they probably thought it was easy money, but they couldn't even code a Tetris game correctly because the multiplayer was so broken.
Yeah.
And then
At the same
it's a
time,
sh-
though, we shouldn't generalize. I do want to save the licensing stuff for Kataru's podcast, because I got him looking up.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, sounds good.
Because that will be more grounded in facts other than how we feel about Ubisoft and just like lashing out at them.
I will say though, it is a shame what happened, because
It is, yeah, because everybody
first
was
Tetris
really
game on
excited about this.
yeah,
Next
it's
gen,
the
first game that apparently for a Tetris
First
game to be
game-
120 frames per second or something, or 60 frames.
it didn't
That's
feel like it.
even
Though.
enough.
It did not feel like 60 frames.
Yeah, that's still.
Yeah, I thought that would be like the game to bring Tetris into the spotlight of competitive tournaments.
Yeah, and you talked about like wanting
Like I
that
would
to
have,
happen too, because
yeah,
I
I would have
remember you
helped
saying
promote those.
to Cultras players, or just me in general, that's why you don't play Cultras, because it wasn't an official game at the time, and you gave it up in place of, you know, Tetris Friends and other official games.
Oh, I see, I see.
Yeah, that
I was
was
trying.
really disappointing, honestly, because I feel like, you know, after that, the community kind of got a little more jaded. Our expectations were definitely not met with this game.
With the
And
Tetris Ultimate, yeah.
yeah, and I guess, you know, like a good segue for this is, where is the community now and what happens to it now?
The community now, I think
Yeah.
the community now is it's in better shape than it was last year. It's doing better than it did in previous years
Yeah,
because of
for sure.
the introduction of Puyo Tetris. I think helped a lot of things.
Yeah, Puyo
Um,
Tetris, and just I don't know where they came from. Maybe I'm just out of touch, but I didn't see Firestorm or Yakin coming. There were no indications to me that, you know, any top players were coming out of.
I I think there's a lot of people in the shadows that
Mm,
lurk. That lurk. They learn from our videos,
right.
and then when it's time, they'll show up.
Mm,
Maybe it's in a year, maybe it's in 2 years, but we always have like an influx of new members,
mm,
to replace the ones that have left.
mm,
That's something I've noticed. That's the reason why we're here for what 8 years now,
mm.
8 years,
Yeah.
and we're still around. And I think we're growing. Our Discord has been growing. We're like steadily above 150
Mm,
people online.
yeah.
Um, I think, and the people who have been here over the years have made it into sort of a really strong, tight knit community, like you and
Mm-hmm.
me, and all the stable people who have been here for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
like Zero. But yeah, I definitely think the release of PBT helped because now we have like Puyo players who are interested, and they're coming in now, trying to genuinely trying to learn Tetris.
Right. Hmm.
And then I see activity also picking up on Gestris.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Justice is really, in my opinion, it's a very solid game, and I think it could become something if we keep working on it. One thing I
Yeah.
think is the most successful part of the community at the moment is just like the Discord, especially. I think we're making good moves there. For instance, with the different text channels for the streams, for example. I
Yeah.
think it's a good idea to just introduce a little more transparency, and also allow players a way, or give players a way for them to find other players that are good, find
Mhm.
guides and tutorials and just resources for them to move on to, and like see what the next big thing is that they need to learn or see.
Yeah, and sometimes I think the whole internet in general is starting to stray away from forums
Hmm.
just because sometimes they take so long for responses and things like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Long gone are
So
the days of reading the wiki, man.
yeah, so I think the Discord is like instant responses almost,
Mm,
that type of thing. People
right,
get notified. You could DM for privacy, that type of
right.
thing. So
Yeah.
it's just more convenient in my
Hmm.
opinion.
Yeah.
So that's why I decided on the shift to Discord.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Discord is doing great things at the moment, in my opinion. You know, especially
Yeah.
since it's tailored for gamers. You know,
Right.
it definitely
I,
works in our favor.
it makes it easy to communicate with the C2 community too, because they also have a Discord server. So
Yeah, exactly.
easy to connect with them again,
Mhm.
and like share members on both servers, that type of thing.
Yeah. So, what do you think the next step is, man? What do you have planned out?
To be honest with you, I don't have anything planned right now. I'm really focused on my life first
Yeah.
at this point. So there's a lot of things changing in my life, as
Mm.
you already know.
Right.
So I'm trying to make sure things are good on that side of things.
Mhm.
So I haven't planned things for hard drop yet, but hard drop's gonna be around. Like I have no plans of taking it down or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
probably
I
will
never
never
really, you
take it
know,
down.
like worried about that, especially when Hard Drop was at a time where, in my opinion, it was kind of dying. It was still
I
up.
st-
Yeah, I still
yeah,
came
yeah.
back and, you know, like looked at the place. I'm like, oh man.
We We made it through those extremely hard times where
Yeah.
like it was completely dead. Not completely dead, but maybe like one post every 2 days or something like
We
that.
endured. We endured.
Yeah, we endured,
Yeah.
and that's why we are a mature community. Like we don't fuss over like small things. We don't get all offended over small things.
Yeah.
And,
At least I sure hope not. I mean, I'm sure
yeah.
there are, instances, but hopefully
No.
overall.
So I've actually been in a couple of gaming communities. I'll say that Hard Drop is we're pretty nice to one another. And I really like that. I like that. We try to help each other. We're not toxic to one another. But if we are, it's usually joking. So yeah. There's not a ton of drama.
Yeah, I mean, like that kind of community, I think, is very indicative of a community that's very closely knit. And I think it's because of the circumstances and also the fact that we're a niche that, we feel so connected. Because it's like, Tetris is a game we all love and, we're trying to do great things with it.
Yeah, we have things in common.
Well, on that note, what was your happiest Tetris memory after everything we've talked about?
Oh my gosh. Happiest?
Yeah, happiest. Maybe maybe the community secret Santas. Maybe your TTO finishes. Maybe world records, friends made.
My happiest Tetris moment was probably breaking that barrier down between the United States and Japan when it comes to Tetris. That is something that I am really proud of. And when I think back, not a lot of people know about it or anything like that, but it's just something that
now they know.
now you know. Now you know it. So yeah, that's probably my happiest moment when it comes to Tetris. It's not winning a tournament or anything like that. Those are just I did well that day type of thing. Like I trained hard and I did well that day. But it's the things that have a longer effect that I care more about.
Okay.
So or that improve the scene in terms of the big picture.
Right. So like the bigger picture in terms of like what happened with the community and like I remember even back in the day you would always try to find sponsors for Hard Drop, not you specifically.
I worked my butt off at the start of Hard Drop, like the first 2 years, because I was only in class at the time. I didn't have any work, but I spent so many hours trying to recruit members. But I always knew that Hard Drop would be okay in terms of like it'll work out, things will work out. So I used to scour like Tetris friends each lobby and just try to beat people, and then make conversation with them, and then if they were receptive, I would tell them, hey, you should drop by here and get to know other Tetris fans type of thing. So
I even remember back in the day, like Sir Jeeves would 1v1 you, and I was always nervous to even talk to you. And he's
really?
Like, yo, yeah, man. Dude, remember, I looked up to you, all right?
And still do. So you still get nervous. You're nervous right now. You're nervous right now.
I'm good now, but...
you're nervous.
Hey, in fact, you were the one who were nervous at the beginning of this podcast.
I was nervous. I'm not much on public speaking kind of thing, but
hey, man, you did wonderful today.
Thank you. Go ahead with the story.
No bullshitting, like we had some great conversations.
No, it's always very chill talking to you, Phil.
Yeah,
I enjoy talking.
And that's largely why I remember in one interview I did with Alexandra for the sprinting thing with Kiro, right? Yeah. I said you were probably the Tetris player I look up to because like going back to what Sir Jeeves said, when he was 1v1ing you and I wanted to 1v1 too, just to see how I would do. He said, yeah, man, just like ask him. He'll 1v1 anyone. He's real nice about it. Yeah, like you're someone who would just 1v1 anyone. And
I rarely turn down people.
Exactly.
If you want to play, we'll play. If I have time. Yeah. It's easy to talk to me even on Discord. Like any new members out there, just drop me a message. I'll probably respond. If I don't, I'm busy. But I almost never ignore. It just sometimes takes me longer to respond.
Right. Yeah.
So, but no. Well, about your nice words earlier about me, I just want to say it's been a real pleasure seeing you grow as a player over the years. No, not just in Tetris, but like in real life too.
Yeah, as a person as well.
Yeah, as a person as well.
I grew a spine. I was a pretty shy kid, man.
You have your stuff together now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm still figuring stuff out, but it's more structured
That's
now.
what life. Well, that's what life is about,
Yeah,
right?
we're
Just
all
figuring
learning,
stuff out.
you know.
Yeah, we are. We're always learning something.
Yeah, and even now, even in Tetris, we're
Uh,
both still finding things that surprise us. I mean,
for sh-
yeah,
for
just
sure.
given what we were talking about this session, with the new gen.
No, have you seen Yakin's videos?
Yeah,
I'm like, what the
dude,
heck is
I
what's
saw
going on
you like
here?
post that
On Facebook?
yeah, the T-spin one.
Yeah, his little and he called it like messing around or something like
Mm,
that. If that's how you mess around,
yeah,
how are you when you play for real?
yeah.
Because that stuff is
He's
crazy.
amazing at T-spins, dude. Like, I don't know
I
if you
was
saw this part of the stream, but right before we were doing this, I
uh
was trying this challenge that's apparently only him, Firestorm, and one pun man have accomplished, which is make 20 T-spin doubles without clearing any other line.
that
And
sounds
so
fun.
that basically takes you up until the top of the field, and you have to be incredibly efficient
I
to
want
be
to
able
try
to
that
do
now.
it.
Did
I
you pull
got
it
up to
off?
15.
15.
Yeah,
Crap.
I'm a scrub at it. It's really
Uh,
difficult in my opinion.
20. Okay, I'm gonna try it and fail
Oh,
horribly.
yeah. All right. Well, do you have any thing else you want to say? Any closing thoughts? 'Cause otherwise, we'll do 10 to
Uh
15 minutes of questions.
oh crap. No closing thoughts. Thanks for watching this. I don't know how long it's been, but thanks for watching up to this point. And if you have any questions, go ahead and post them on the Twitch chat. I'll try to answer as best as I can.
Yeah. So if you guys have any questions you've been saving or you had like at the beginning and you remember it, just like let us know and we'll try to tackle it the best we can.
That was 1.5 hours.
Oh,
Oh wow,
wow.
it was. Wow, time
Wow.
flies
Yeah,
when you're having
dang.
fun.
Yeah, it was a fun time though.
That was. It felt like 20 minutes, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I'm
Yeah.
surprised.
All right, choose a question and like answer whichever ones you want, man.
I'm not gonna answer that question. Um,
All
just
right,
because I
fair
don't think it's
enough.
stream appropriate.
Yeah. The Blink abstains from answering that one, Acro.
Yeah. How about some more tactful questions? Who is each of your favorite players? Okay. I'd say. Well, my favorite players changes from generation to generation, and depending on which game.
All right, well,
So,
let's go through the generations then.
okay, Spin Dizzy, Tetrinet Gens
Oh, okay.
in
That
block.
he was but why? Is it because he was the best or because
He
he
was
was a
he was
teacher?
both. He was the best. He was a teacher. He was nice. He was never he wasn't arrogant at all. He
Okay.
actually he actually requested that I join Hellfire, his Team
Oh,
Hellfire.
really? Okay.
Yeah, back in the day, he requested that I join his team, but I
Huh.
didn't do it because my best friend Drakey
Mhm.
I was on his team, so I
Yeah.
was gonna leave. I was gonna leave him, and I'm glad I
Mhm.
didn't.
Yeah, that's fair.
How about you?
Well, I mean, you haven't even went through the generations, man. A little quick to
Block
the drop.
Blockbox Generations. I'd say my favorite player was
Jujubes.
no Secret Salamander. I liked
Secret
playing Secret
Salamander?
Salamander.
Oh, okay.
He was always down to play. We would go first to 100 a lot of times.
Yeah. I liked
And
his style back then too. I remember, he had, in my opinion, he had a very polished and powerful style.
because he originally came from TGM series, so he had the speed and the Tetrising down.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
And I
he
mean,
he
once
had
he
those two
pulled
down.
out the combos, like you're done, man.
well, Blockbox didn't have combos. Like there was no
right,
combos.
yeah, because that was
Yeah,
all Tetris's.
yeah, it was all Tetrises. So he just powered those APMs out.
Right, yeah, very based kind of game. That was actually
Yeah,
where I got faster, at least mainly. And then Nopo
that's
came around and, Lapsy with his world records and stuff.
yeah. I remember.
Yeah.
Uh, and then for the guideline set of games, probably that's a hard one.
Mm,
There's like too many good players.
yeah.
I'd say Samaf. Just he was someone I looked up to. Like
Mm.
he was famous. Samaf was famous. He was the top player in Japan,
Dude, he is
and
still the cleanest player I've ever seen.
he won tournaments back then for a reason. Like
Yeah.
he was the best for a reason.
Mm.
And
He's
even
still
though
real
he's
clean. Just
yeah,
things have gotten a lot more complicated, and the stacks, people can see more now. His is very
yeah,
by the book, in my opinion.
yeah,
And we,
textbook play right
yeah,
there.
exactly. Like this is what should do this way and when. I guess it makes sense since he was the one who taught people this way
Yeah,
of playing.
he taught people either week or day on Nico. Because
Mm,
I used to watch some of his videos and he would explain it in Japanese, so I didn't understand anything. But
mm,
you could see him helping people out. I think that's
right.
huge.
Let's see. All right, it's
All right,
open.
your turn.
My turn. Let's see.
Yeah, for because he said who are each of your favorite players.
Each of mine. Man, I don't even remember from back in the day. I guess like the when I started talking to people really was probably like when the Blockbox era was the strongest.
Mm-hmm.
Back when the site was actually accessible.
That was HDL1 days. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, my first friend I ever made, I think, was actually Steph.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I guess,
Yeah.
from back then, I guess she would have been my favorite player just because she was the
Okay.
only one who was, like, in my opinion, the in crowd with the top players on Hard Drop.
Okay.
And she was
Okay.
very, very nice to me.
Welcoming, and she brought you in.
Yeah. She's one of them. I don't know if I would call her my favorite, but, like, she's definitely one of my favorites from that period of time. And
Yeah.
then Frankie, I remember, she would always be my training partner, and and we would always push each other because she was a speed demon back then too.
She was. She was the fastest female
Yeah,
player.
not only the
And
fastest female player, but
one
she
of
was
one of the fastest. Yeah.
she
She was,
improved the fastest too.
she actually only was playing Tetris for maybe less than 6 months when
Yeah,
she hit
that
that.
that was the crazy
That
part,
is
dude.
that
I
is
knew her
crazy.
when she was like playing at like 3 months, and she was as fast as I was. And at
She,
that point, I was playing for like 3 years.
the amount she improved over those 3 months was crazy, and it's a shame that she switched over to World of Warcraft because I think she
Yeah,
could have
that's
been
the
a top
thing. I
player
was gonna
overall.
say, yeah, like as soon as she discovered World of Warcraft,
She got addicted.
yeah, because
She was
apparently
gone.
she was real popular there.
Yeah, she was, and
Yeah.
she was actually, from what I heard the last I talked to her, was she was doing like a lot of like competitive stuff with World of Warcraft.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool, actually. Yeah, like Frankie, definitely one of my favorites from back in the day. I mean, there's a lot of names that come across my head when I think of the old days. Like Paul. I think,
676.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Clincher, I remember, was real helpful to me.
Clincher.
Yeah, Clincher.
Yeah.
And we talked about Arf as well. I
Uh-huh.
remember he gave me some tips with Blockbox. Like he's like, "Yo, man, you're just as fast as me, if not faster. All you need to do is stop messing around and do some Tetrises instead of whatever you're doing." And
That is
that
good
actually
advice.
worked.
No, that's solid advice for Blockbox.
Yeah,
It was
exactly. I mean, just make Tetrises. That's how you win.
make Tetrises when you can, and when you can't, downstack. That's it.
Yeah. Let's see. I guess we can move on to second generation. My favorite. I don't know. I remember Sir Jeeves and I being are always talking and stuff. I'll always
Yeah.
have fond memories of him, even though he didn't honor me in his retirement thread, which stung a little given our history.
Oh man.
But I'm not gonna hold it against him.
Because that was implied.
Yeah,
That was implied already. Like,
yeah. At least it's implied to me. I don't know. He's obviously got other things in his life now. Maybe, I'm not gonna read too much into it. We
Okay.
had a great time when we still played together.
and that's what we'll remember.
Yeah. And
All right.
Exactly. And like just my favorite players were probably just the NA boys. The B team. You were the A team, or
the
you were
Johnnies.
the A person.
The Johnny,
Johnny, QMK,
Kenny.
Sir Jeeves, Kenny Boy. Am I missing someone?
the B squad.
I hope I'm not missing anybody, but yeah, that was the B
It
squad.
feels like you are.
There must be one person missing.
Those are the popular ones.
Yeah. Anyway, those were the players that, like, I pretty much aligned with best. After that, like, this is the period before 3rd gen, which is right now, in my opinion. Dihong and Jixu.
Jixu, what happened to her? I think she went. I think she recently graduated.
I don't want to gossip, but I think she just needed to get away from the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not gossip at all.
Yeah. So. I think she just, it was taking up too much of her time. So, she had other things going on, right?
That's understandable.
Yeah. And then after that, I think Supa. Alexandra. Still Daniel. Whenever you show up to one of our calls, you.
Let's try to show up more often.
Raquel, Aaron, PC.
Aaron. I haven't heard that name in a while.
I know, right?
Do you still talk to him?
No, man, I haven't talked to him in a while.
He completely disappeared.
Yeah, he still texts Raquel sometimes, though, apparently.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I just want to make sure he's okay, because
he's fine, man. He's alive. It's just he's kind of missing in action right now.
Yeah. Ever since I unbanned pizza, Aaron disappeared. Because Aaron was repeatedly banning pizza for no reason. Yeah. And then he was being sneaky about it by banning by IP instead of the nickname. And I'm like, but I found out it was pizza. And I'm like, and I said, stop banning pizza for no reason.
Yeah.
And then he banned pizza. So I had to remove his mod powers. And when I removed his mod powers, he disappeared completely from Hard Trap. So
yeah, I mean,
I don't
want to get into this too much. He just has stuff going on,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, should we try to take another question?
Let's see. Yeah, we can if you want to.
Let's see. All right. Let's see. Did you ever learn any Japanese from?
Okay. Yakeen asked one earlier. How do you guys think the future for Hard Drop looks like? Will he keep growing as a community?
We will keep growing as a community for sure. I think that the community is waiting for the next actually good PC multiplayer Tetris game.
Yeah.
And when that hits,
all we're missing is a good game, to be honest.
Yeah, all we're missing is a good game. We're still playing Tetris Friends. We're still playing Tetris Friends after 9 years, and we're just waiting for one good game.
Yeah.
And if that game hits, I see some older players coming back.
Yeah.
And I see new players coming in.
Yeah.
And more activity because people are going to be hosting tournaments for that new game. So I think that,
right, like, time changes a lot, and we see a lot of new faces now. We definitely don't see some, like the names we've been tossing around. We don't hear those names as often anymore, and if we ever do, they're typically used as hearsay. Like this person was amazing at this back then, or whatever, like that, right? Well, but new players will always come in to replace those. Or not replace, but like take their place for a while.
Yeah, step up
to the plate. Contribute their own things to the community. Like, I mean, we're talking about Yakeen, man. We don't see people using spins like this often, other than maybe we would see a Junba and Whip Emerald in TF messing around with this stuff, but definitely not NA players.
I will say the community's future is up to the members. So those of you who are watching the stream right now, for example. So it is what you make of it. So if you do care about the community and you want it to grow, make sure that you contribute to it or bring people in, things like that, because it's not up to just a handful of people. It's up to every member. That's my little infomercial thing.
All right. Any other questions? We'll take one more, and then we'll probably end this. It's already almost been
good.
2 hours.
I have not even eaten dinner yet.
Oh man,
so.
Me neither, dude.
Oh, you're on East Coast, right?
Yeah, it's 12:43 right now.
That's a late dinner, man.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll try to take one more.
Right, yeah, you can choose this one, man.
All right, let's see.
Which one do you want to take?
Okay, I'll just pick the latest. What's your favorite Tetris game right now, Link? Because this is a short question. Yeah. My favorite Tetris game right now is Gestress.
Gestress.
Yes.
I think I'm in agreement,
It's,
honestly.
I'm planning on hosting the next HDL on it, but I'm not positive when. But it's well made. Jesavec actually has been working on this game for maybe 2-3 years now. Because I remember him a long time ago when he posted the first version of it.
Yeah.
So it really impresses me that he didn't quit on it.
And he open sourced it too.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, apparently that's what I've been hearing from my viewers on stream. I think Morning P said that actually.
That's crazy. I'm gonna look at the code, but like he never gave up on it even when nobody was playing. So and he just continually kept improving and improving his game.
Yeah, which is why every time he pops by, I'm like always trying to encourage him to keep moving forward with this because he's doing amazing things. Like, did you see his newest update with the graphs and stuff of your improvement, and you can see like where you were your fastest at which piece in your sprints and stuff now too.
That's crazy because I did read about his latest changelog, which was gigantic, and it looked like very difficult to implement all that. Yeah. But he did it, and it seems like he did it himself. So very impressive, Jez, and looking forward to playing more in it.
Yeah. Well, that's it from both of us. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for letting me be the very first on your stacked podcast, man.
Yeah, man, wouldn't have had it any other way. Literally, this is what I wanted.
Hopefully it didn't suck. Hopefully this sets like a good foundation for the next one.
Yeah. All right, well, that's it from us. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you for watching. Good night.